Every Bears Friday at this time, we talk to Dan Wiederer on the Circa Resort and Casino Hotline. Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas, home of the world's largest sports book. You also can see Weedsy on our Twitch page. What's up, Dan?
How are you guys doing?
We got ourselves an interesting football game all of a sudden.
I'm excited for it. I'm telling you, when the injury report came out Thursday afternoon and Justin was listed as full, there was a legitimate jolt of adrenaline that I felt, and then I was extremely excited to see that it was mirrored in the Bears locker room in terms of the juice that they were feeling from him being back out on the field looking like himself and being ready to go into a game against a four-time MVP and the division rival with a chance to put together a Sunday that means a little something.
Well, what does it mean?
Yeah, I know you don't want it to mean anything. You would rather just punt and let's get to September 2023 and we'll just reboot this thing.
Well, yes and no. I love watching Justin Fields play football.
Okay, so what this is an opportunity to do that.
Yep.
It's an opportunity to watch your young quarterback take another test, to gain another experience, to be able to learn from that experience. It's an opportunity to go up against a team that has beaten you down for 30 years and show no mercy, and a chance to maybe put your fingerprints on that if you're a young player or a young quarterback in this rivalry. There's a lot left in this season that can be squeezed out of it, even amid a 3-9 downslide. And the Bears have to approach it as such. They are approaching it as such, and it's okay to feel like some of this stuff matters without any sort of apology.
Yeah, no, I think that's true, especially in a week like this. This one, it matters so obviously so much to everybody in that organization, and that is obviously the easiest way to have a football team play together and maybe learn something and maybe improve is them all going for it in that way. I know it's crazy to even have to say, but things get confusing sometimes when it's weird games against opponents that don't get the blood pumping. This one does get the blood pumping for everybody. And you said you saw it in the locker room? You felt it in the locker room?
Yeah, you just feel an eagerness, right, and an anticipation and a competitive fight, right, that you want to see from a 3-9 football team down the stretch, that particularly for one that's going into its bye week next week, and hopefully some of these guys are getting on planes and going somewhere warm for 4 or 5 days, right, to get their bodies warmed up. But they're locked in this week, and you've got an opportunity here to go do something, to go make, win or lose, meaningful progress in what you're ultimately trying to accomplish, which is becoming a team that believes in itself, that believes that its climb is for real. And you can start that by recording a signature win. And I know it's just a 4-8 Packers squad, but it's still Aaron Rodgers, and it's still a one-sided rivalry that you've been on the wrong side of. So go out there and give it your best swing.
Signature win is right, Danny. I'm totally giving in to my meatball side and allowing for Super Bowl week this week, Weedsy, and it's driving my partner crazy, frankly.
I'm confused by why Danny's resisting this so much, right? There's so many people. I heard Pat Manley as I was driving home from Hallis Hall talk about what can be squeezed out of this game and what can mean, and I could hear Danny in the background's kind of sighing. Oh God, I just don't want this to mean anything. I just wish it didn't mean anything, and I can't figure it out. Especially for somebody who was so into what a loss to the Lions 3 weeks ago meant. Now all of a sudden this thing doesn't mean anything.
No, okay. This is I want to be very clear here. If they win because Justin Fields plays well, then fine, great. I don't want Justin Fields shut down for the season. Of course they can still learn things and develop. But I think that the Lions game is a perfect result for this week. A 31-30 loss. That is in their best interest, I would argue objectively, long term, to being able to beat the Packers consistently for the next decade. Because, Dan, we didn't think this was possible, man. I remember having the conversation with you week 3, 4, 5. You didn't think it was possible that we were going to have any degree of clarity on Fields at the end of this year because of the circumstances surrounding him. We do have it. Now, maybe not on the second contract or if he's going to be a guy for the next 10 years, but they're going to build around him this offseason. He's going to be their quarterback next year. Justin Fields is an exciting playmaker who has a shot at being a franchise quarterback. We've got that clarity. So if you can do that and add the second
lose
and lose and get the second pick in the draft that could turn into 3 first-round picks when you trade down, which is about the historical precedent for what that pick gets if someone wants to come up and get a quarterback. That feels like a legitimate best-case scenario for the season. So that is what I'm rooting for.
Right. That's your desired outcome. And I think some of this is all skewed on what desired outcomes are and what you're rooting for. And then it creates resistance to an opportunity here to do more than what your desired outcome is, which is learn how to be a team that can meet moments. Right.
There's no evidence of that, man. There's
no, you can keep
we've talked to
players. I know you've talked to players and you've cited teams here and there, but one of the reasons that the Packers always beat the Bears is because the Packers always beat the Bears, right? And it's right, like
because they have Aaron Rodgers.
That's part of the reason, but it's
the
also
biggest reason,
right? And there's a reason that Patrick Mahomes goes down the field on every other week and wins a game in the fourth quarter, right? Like so. Challenge your team to do those things, to create those players, to become those stars, right? And so I feel like we just get in this shouting match every week because you're just like so set on there's only one possible outcome that makes any sense for anything. And then we lose sort of the more nuanced, better discussion about where this football team is headed, because if people don't see things exactly how you see it, it just becomes like really like distasteful to you and it doesn't go anywhere.
Listen, I want to have as much nuance as you possibly can. I hope that they learn how to win.
You don't believe that that's a thing. And so
right. Because it's not.
Okay. So like we'll never be able to see eye to eye on that conversation, despite me covering the league for 12 years and knowing that there are teams that figure out ways to become. It's not about confidence, Danny. It's about commitment. It's about belief. It's about the juice you have in the building. It's about trusting that you have high level people in important positions like head coach, quarterback, all across the building, playmakers on a roster. Let's start identifying some of those and not just put it off for 3 or 4 years down the road.
That would be great, man. That would who's against like playmakers?
It sounds
emerging?
Like you are. It sounds like you don't want them to win Sunday.
No. He believes that all of that can happen without winning, and he believes.
But what's the point of that discussion? Like, go make a bunch of plays, just make sure you lose at the end.
I'm not saying that they should try to lose, Dan.
So what are we talking about right now?
I'm
saying that
Speaks help bail this out.
Okay. Well, here's the thing.
On one lane, and he can't get out of that lane have a different conversation.
I think Danny.
I didn't even bring it up today for the record.
I know. I think Danny is arguing for logical. For a pure ironclad logical superiority, which frankly is attainable in terms of zooming out and looking at the best case scenario. Because best case, Dan, they learn all that stuff in terms of how to win next year, but this year they lose all the games and they go ahead and they get the better draft pick, but it doesn't carry over. So, because we have heard from some people that it doesn't carry over. So Danny's arguing for logical ironclad superiority, which I don't think he's going to give in at any point.
He's not, and that's why we're just stuck. And there's other things we can talk about this football team than the one desired outcome that Danny has every single day.
Dude, I didn't bring it up, you condescending piece of crap. What the hell is the problem with you today, man?
Wow. Calm down. I'm just trying to talk about the football team that I cover outside of the lane of wow. Speaks asked me a question. Let's get on a different topic.
Okay. Is it fair for coaches, Dan Wiederer, to just like throw Justin out there with a full game plan and just say like, yeah, we might run you 12 times when he's coming off an injury? If he's 100% is 100% and it's on Justin to protect himself and nobody else?
No, it's on the coaches to help protect him as well. I think you have to be cautious to some extent. You don't want to be operating with a total restrictor plate on. There's a lot of things you can do within your game plan to make sure that you just give yourself an opportunity to keep him as safe as possible, but you don't want to take away his gifts, right? And if he's going to play, you want to use his gifts. And so that's where you go next. You get together in a room, you discuss things with him. How does he feel? Where does he feel best? How can they attack this specific defense with which specific plays? And you go from there. And then you also try to identify guys, right? Like we're missing Darnell Mooney for the rest of the year. And now you've got to find some answers in your receiving core. And particularly, you're going to want to look at guys like Chase Claypool and Bayless Jones, who can and should be part of your long-term future, to see what they can do within a game like this, right? And so now you're mixing those things together and you're trying to put together a game plan that makes sense for this current construct of the team within this given week against this given opponent.